All right, I'm back. Debbie and I were feeding the animals, feeding up and putting hay out for the goats and so forth. Now, what I want to talk about today is, it's a spiritual type thing, but it's a little different. Why do we hunt? You know, there's a big movement nowadays to make hunting and people that hunt into bad people. There's some pretty powerful movements out there of trying to stop people from eating meat. Not hunting. Hunting is bad. You're killing this poor defenseless animal. Okay, I got my bow upside down. That's one reason that we don't get anything killed. The truth of it is we're predators. We are predators. How do we know? Because we've been doing it for thousands of years. In the archaeological record, we go back and we find arrow points, atlatl points, all kinds of mechanisms to take animals. Now, you know, they blame man for wiping out the woolly mammoth. That's not likely. You notice elephants weren't wiped out in Africa. They hunted them over there. There was some other reason for the destruction of the mega fauna in North America here. But that's another subject. We're predators. You can look at our eyeballs and see. Our eyes are in the front of our head. That's how we were made. Predators have their eyes in the front of their head. Prey animals have their eyes on the side of their head so that they can see danger coming. We have our eyes here so that we can triangulate distances. That's one of the problems that deer have, is when they look at you in the woods, if you're very still, they can't really figure out how far away you are. They have trouble with that. That's why being very still works. So we're predators. If you go back, it's common sense. People eat meat. Now, as they figured out better ways of obtaining meat, somewhere along the line, some people found a baby bison or a baby cow, wild cow, and raised it up, essentially to be a pet. And then they had babies, and the next thing you know, they had a herd, and they herded it. Same thing with sheep and goats. That's the way we do it nowadays. But the bad people, the Satanists, the deep state, they want to take that away from us. Well, they want to take us away from the planet. They want to kill all of us. They do not like the pure human beings. Okay, I want to tell you a little bit about the Noah. Now let's go back to Noah. It says in the book of Genesis that Noah was perfect in his generations. Now, a lot of people, when they read about Noah, including me until I got tipped off, thought it meant Noah was just a great man. He was a good man and God saved him. Okay? It says, look in your Bible, Noah was perfect in his generations. Now, go to your concordance and look up that word that was the original word, generations, and you'll find out it's genealogy. Noah happened to be the last man, and Noah's family, that were pure by DNA human beings. The Nephilim, the Satanists, had infiltrated the earth. Read about it in your Bible. And it says that these non-human beings came to earth and they took for their wives all that they wished of the human women. They didn't ask them to marry them, they took them. And several thousand years later, every human being on the earth had, to some extent, was mixed with the DNA of these alien beings called the Nephilim. Fallen angels. They weren't aliens like in spacesuits and all that, you know, it came down in rockets. And Noah then, that's not how God created the earth. So that's why the flood was brought on the earth, to kill all of these people. Because if God hadn't caused the flood to happen at that time, and Noah's family finally died out, there would be no human beings left with pure human DNA. So they were wiped out. They want to do that to us now. They want to get at our blood and our DNA and find out who are the pure human beings that are left. If you go on 23andMe and those websites and send them a sample of your DNA, I guarantee you that they're cataloging that somewhere and they're putting a big check mark by your name. They may have several ways of altering your DNA. The devil wants to take over the world with his DNA. This sounds, even myself standing here saying this, I can't believe I'm saying this because it's so controversial and so far out to a lot of people. But I believe this is true. I read it in the Bible. And I know that they want your blood. All of these stories about vampires and all of this kind of stuff that's become part of the popular culture, it actually has a basis in some of the things that are going on. Okay, how can they get your blood? Well, one way, they can mix you by physical intercourse with a Nephilim being. You can't tell them from humans, probably. Another way, they can do this to you right here. I've heard. And once they get everybody, they will have won the battle that Satan chose to fight God over, who was going to rule the earth and who the earthlings were going to, and who the population was going to bow down to. Once everybody, Satan's plan is, once everybody that's here has his DNA, they'll bow down to him and he'll be the ruler. I guess he'll let them live. But then everybody that's a pure human, they have it in their mind to get rid of them one way or another. Through this kind of stuff right here, through taking our food away. That's what's happening right now. It appears, you know, we're having food shortages all over. Different food processing facilities are blowing up and burning up all over the place. They're having strikes in Holland right now. They're closing down 3,000 farms, and they're claiming it's for climate change, and nitrogen is destroying the planet that the fertilizer is made out of. Everything they can do. Another way they do it is that they're trying to tax people out of existence as businessmen, like this place right here. Once you buy a piece of land, I bought this piece of land close to 40 years ago, but they don't leave you alone. Every year they send you a big bill and say you owe them taxes on that. And if you don't make some kind of good production and keep your nose clean as far as those people are concerned, they'll take it away from you. Okay? By the way, taxing people for their property is not legal in the Constitution, in my opinion. But these guys don't go by the law. They break it, they do all kind of things. They get their people in there by hook or crook, and then they want to take over. That's what's happening right now. So I would say to you guys out there, if at all possible, get yourself a place away from the city if you can. If you can't, and you're a believer, God will still take care of you. This is what I think is happening right now. I didn't have any idea when I started this talk that I was going to go way down that rabbit hole. But I went way down that rabbit hole, and I can tell you that I do believe what I'm saying to be the truth. I don't know it for a fact because I don't know much for a fact. Maybe anything for an absolute fact. But I believe they're trying to get rid of us. Us, or we humans. I believe they're trying to do it to us. They're trying to change everything that God said they want to change around the other way. God said men and women, the men would be men and the women would be women. Notice what they're saying. Oh no, men can have babies. You know, well, we know that that's ridiculous. But I bet you some people actually believe that. They want the women to become masculine and the men to become feminine. This is exact opposite of God's plan. Okay, little boys run around with sticks and fight each other, and they try to chase the chickens and the ducks around. And little girls are more likely by nature now to be holding a doll and be doing girl things. God created women to be mothers and be a mothering spirit, and he created men to be the protectors of their tribe. And that's why men hunt and fight. Okay, let your imagination run wild on that stuff. I'm going to make the shortest shot. I'm standing over here in a different place because the sun's coming up and it was blinding me over there. So I'm standing here very close to my deer target, and I'm going to make a little shot with olive oil. And if I can't hit this at this distance, then I've got a real problem. Okay, I did hit the tinfoil target. I'll tell you one other thing here in a minute. When I was a little boy on my grandfather's farm, when I was visiting one time, there was a pile in that yard of, it was a farmhouse, of broken pieces of concrete and all. One of my earliest memories. And I was walking around the yard with a rock in my hand. I was a little fella. And I was stalking a bird that was flitting around the yard. And I stalked up on that bird, and I threw that rock, and it was a pretty decent distance, and I hit that bird and killed it. That was just pure natural to me. I was a hunter. Nobody told me to do that, and I was not taught to do that. I just did it. Well, it just so happens that that bird, I'm not going to tell you this part because the game wardens might come get me. But that was not a legal bird to kill. Maybe the statute of limitations is out on that now, because that would have been 65 years ago that I did that bad deed to that bird. But I found out later what it was all about. I had a bow and arrow, a toy bow and arrow, when I was probably 6 or 7 years old. It wasn't olive oil, but it was another one that a man that worked on the farm made for me and gave me as a present. Alright, well, this is my thoughts that are coming out of my mouth today. And I guess I'm going to put it up there, and probably some people out there are going to say, you know, we thought that guy was okay. Now we know, boy, he's far out. Well, that's who I am, and that's what I believe. I'm not going to guarantee you 100% that I told you everything exactly as it is. I told you as I see it. All right, this is Gardener Israel. I hope I can talk to you again.